Hello, everybody. I think we have a few folks on waiting. Thank you so much for joining a little bit early. My name is Shayla Andreas. I'm one of the marketing managers here at True Coach, and I'm joined by Brad Shepard, Trainer HQ
Aloha.
Guru. I don't even, let's see, Guru, are you founder? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I am.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Should be a great webinar for you guys today. So to start off, while we're waiting for people to join, I do have some housekeeping for you. And I'll make these announcements again a little bit later, but we're going to send the recording out for this no later than end of day tomorrow. So that way you'll have that in your email so you can watch it whenever you like to refer back to it. I know Brad has a lot of really great info for you today. And we also want to know, just to kind of start out, are you a veteran coach and maybe you've hit a business plateau and you're looking for some tips, or are you new and fresh and like looking for best practices to start off, or even something different? Kind of let us know in the comments so we can gauge who's here and what level you're at. Don't be shy. No, nobody? Not happening? Okay, that's fine. 7 years, but stale. Okay. All right, Ezra.
Nice. That's solid.
Yeah, that's some commitment. Appreciate that for sure. Okay, well, let's get started here. Anybody else want to put some stuff in the chat? Feel free. If you would like to ask Brad some questions, we will answer them at the end. I'll come back on stage and make sure we get all of your questions answered. So he's just going to go through the presentation, and we'll do that in a bit when he's done. But I do want to kick us off and let you guys. Okay, sorry. I do want to let you guys know that it is 4 a.m. for him. He's in Australia, so give him a little love that he got up early for you guys to do this for you. And Trainer HQ,
he does have coffee in hand.
Yes, he has had coffee. Trainer HQ helps you unlock your business potential as a coach. I saw on your website, which I really loved. It's like a superset for your confidence. Brad wants to help you engineer the life you want by helping you do what you love while creating predictable income, which I think is pretty key for you guys. So today he's going to talk about targeting the right clients. So take it away, Brad.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome, and really great to get acquainted with the True Coach community. So yeah, as Shayla mentioned, I'm coming from the land down under, from Australia, from Queensland, Brisbane, home of the 2032 Olympics. So I'm going to launch straight into it. So in this 45 minutes, I've got a hell of amount of information to unpack, and I want to get straight into it. And throughout this presentation, I'm going to talk a lot about, today's about marketing. It's about you acquiring better leads, more quality leads, but there's a large part of it which is going to be related to, I guess, a shift in mindset. And so what we find from a coaching perspective is that for a lot of people that we help, it's overcoming a lot of potentially self-sabotaging roadblocks, limiting beliefs, false beliefs, things that might potentially hold people back from getting what they want. So I'm going to be sharing there'll be part, I guess you might call it psychology, but we're going to get to the nitty gritty of what it takes to really build a successful fitness business. So in terms of this presentation, I want to talk about, number one, what I refer to good, what good looks like, and the common challenges that a lot of trainers, a lot of coaches face in terms of building their business. I want to talk about the strategy on how you can implement this stuff and give yourself a more successful business, and just show you what's possible out there. And that's really largely what the intention is. So as discussed, I'm going to be absolutely going for it. I've got bucket loads to share with you. And on the receiving end, it's going to feel a bit like drinking through a fire hose because, like I said, I do have a lot of information to share. I want to rip straight into it. So make sure that, devices, phones, all that sort of stuff, turn off distractions, because from this perspective, for a lot of people, this type of session can be a line in the sand where they go, okay, cool, I now commit to really focusing on having a more effective lead gen strategy. So a bit of background about me. I kicked off as a trainer many, many years ago, 1995. Just curious to know, is anyone born after 1995 who's tuning in at the moment? If you're born after 1995, just tune in and say, yep, that's me, born after 1995. 48 years old at the moment, so I've been in the game forever. I've been lifting weights since I was 12 years old, and this is a lifelong pursuit, lifelong passion for me. But when I kicked off as a trainer back in 1995, I really had no idea about business. And what I mean by that is I had really no idea how to get clients. I had no idea about this concept of marketing or how to market myself. I found myself when I got in front of people, I was always doing things like discounting and didn't really have an effective strategy on how to sign people up. I started to have this mantra that I'd walk around saying I'll train anyone, anywhere, anytime. And that meant early mornings, middle of the day, late night, weekends, you name it. I was too afraid to do things like enforce cancellation policies. So at the beginning, I never had any cancellation policies. And then when I eventually had them, I was still too afraid to enforce them because I was in fear that I might upset people. I might not be able to deliver it effectively. They might take it the wrong way. They might stop training, a whole bunch of reasons. And so once again, back to the mindset concept, I had a lot of these, I would say, very limiting beliefs, which held me back from my true potential. Things like increasing my rates. You know, when I first kicked off, I was charging bottom dollar. And like I said, get myself in front of somebody and someone might say to me something like, okay, I train with you, but it's slightly out of my budget. And instead of me exploring it further, I might ask them a question like, how much would you pay? And if they told me a lesser figure, I'd more than likely say yes, because once again, I just really had no concept around putting some of these business systems and practices in place. So even when I was in the game for some time and I was increasing the number of sessions that I did and I had a good following, once again, I was too afraid to increase the rates in fear that I might upset people. They might drop back sessions. They might stop training with me, any of that sort of stuff. Now, if any of this stuff resonates with you, if you read this or you hear it and you go, yeah, just type in yes and let me know if this has been the case for you. So you might be experiencing some of these things now, or you might have experienced some of these things in the past, because I look back at my first 5 years as a trainer, as a coach, was very much a roller coaster journey. And what it meant for me was that there were times in that journey where things were moving along, going pretty well. And I mean, at the beginning, I did struggle to get clients. And like I indicated, it was a real battle for me. And so, but as I eventually built, obviously, people liked my training methodology. They referred their friends. People kept coming back, all that sort of stuff. But things were traveling okay. And then for no apparent reason, out of the blue, I might have a week where I had 1, 2, potentially 3 people finish up, you know, for no apparent reason. And that would present me with a pretty stressful situation, because suddenly there was a drop of income. There was a loss of certainty. And so I had many moments on that 5-year journey where I started to question, okay, can I actually make it as a career doing what I love? And you know, you've briefly heard my background. I've been lifting weights since the age of 12, and I knew that this was my passion. This was where I wanted to spend my time. However, what I found myself was really struggling, and there was many times on that 5-year journey that I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up, and it's not because I wasn't good at training people. I had the technical skills. It was just that I didn't understand the business concept, and I didn't understand some of the methodologies, and one of them, namely, that I want to unpack for you today. So for me, this was really the turning point. What I notice as coaches, as fitness professionals, is most of us go out there, and I speak us in terms of us as a collective community of people that love helping people and love getting other people in shape, is that we generally get the technical part sorted. And what I mean by that is we learn new exercises, we learn new skills, we invest widely in our programming methodology. And so I generally find that we get that part sorted, but the parts which need that development is generally working on yourself personally, overcoming self-sabotaging roadblocks, and also working on the business part. And so the most successful people that I've seen in the now almost 15 years we've been running Trainer HQ are those that embrace that concept, and those almost like a triangle principle, and going, yeah, the technical skills, I'm going to enhance those, but I'm also going to work on myself personally, and I'm also going to work on my business as well. And generally speaking, I find they're the areas where people do need the most help and most support. In terms of working on yourself personally, what it means for you, obviously, is you become a better coach. You find ways that you can assist people from a better perspective. And, you know, if you ever feel like your role as coach or as trainer is sometimes 80% psychologist and 20% physical trainer, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So back to the concept of marketing and advertising, my knowledge back then of marketing and advertising was pretty terrible. And what I mean by terrible, I just had no concept about what marketing meant. I didn't know there was a methodology behind it. Didn't realize it needed to have a system and a flow, a headline, a sub-headline, some benefits-driven statements, some, real life proof for call to action of some description. So back then, when I kicked off, I was into bodybuilding, competitive bodybuilding back in the day. And as the year I kicked off my business, I'd also won the title of the Junior Mr. Australia bodybuilding champion. So as the newly crowned junior national champion, it was my claim to fame. And of course, it was the same time that I launched my fitness business. And back then, I guess my perception of this business was going to be great. Hey, I'm going to absolutely kill it because I've won the title and things are going incredibly well for me. Now, here's what the first bit of advertising and marketing looked like. I designed the ad. Little did I know that a piece of advertising needs to have a strategy, needs to have a concept behind it. And pretty much it said, be trained by the 1995 Junior Mr. Australia. And there's a photo of me, there's a logo, and there's a phone number. Now, I put this in the newspaper. I saved up all this money that I didn't have back then, and I paid for 8 weeks worth of advertising in the local newspaper, and it went out and so forth. And in those 8 weeks, unfortunately, 0 people called. And I concluded a few things back then. I concluded things like saying advertising sucks, advertising doesn't work, it's a waste of money. And there was a whole bunch of negative reinforcement that I had as a result of that. Now, little did I know that I didn't understand that it needed a strategy. It needed a concept behind it. And so I look back at that and I see that right now and I go, that almost reminds me of a metaphor of all the things I didn't know, didn't understand, didn't have, didn't do, not because I didn't have the ability to learn it, it's just because I didn't know what I didn't know. And so, that scarred me. And I look back at that 5-year journey, that 5-year roller coaster, and I go, there were definitely times that put me off doing any form of marketing or advertising. And consequently, it held me back from reaching my full potential. So what I see now, 27 odd years down the track, is that I still see, the same things happening. I see these things as very common in the industry. And so we're on a mission here to alter that, to change it. Now, moving forward, I spent a 20-year career as a trainer, built that business up here in Australia, in Queensland, in the city of Brisbane. And I went beyond myself. So I was able to not only build up myself, but I was able to hire my first trainer. Now, I operated my personal training business underneath the roof of a commercial gym. I never had my own gym. I never had my own studio or facility. I always conducted my business underneath the roof of somebody else's. I paid them a fee for me to be there. And I was fortunate enough to hire my first trainer. And then I went on to hire my second trainer. And over the space of a period of a few years, I was able to go on and build up to a team of 13 personal trainers. And we're able to get that business to doing over 250 45-minute personal training sessions every week. So 200 plus hours of personal training a week. Now, I physically don't have the time for that. I've got 168 hours in the week, so there was no way I could do that. So what I learned early on in the piece was that, the key for me to get what I desired in terms of a stronger business was finding ways to leverage myself through other people. And so I want to unpack some of the strategies for you today. And having a team of people really did enable me to, I guess, pursue my passion and to do things that were really important for me to go beyond just myself. Now, it's beyond the scope of today for me to talk to you about how to hire a team, how to build a team and all the rest of it. But just know that the more that you get around Trainer HQ, it's one of our higher level strategies on how you can build a more successful business. And the question you've got to ask yourself is, why are you investing time in this area? So why build a business? Now, why learn marketing? Because for some people, the idea of learning marketing and lead gen might not be that attractive. However, it's what it supplies you with. So, business has been excellent to me. It supplies me with all the things in my life. We get to live in a great house, get to drive the type of cars we want to drive, take holidays, do all that stuff. But all that's great. However, I've only got to look at that screen and go, why am I building business? And for me, it enabled me the fortunate, opportunity to spend time with people that I love the most. And so, I've had the privilege of, being present with my children, taking them to school, sports, doing homework with them, all that sort of stuff that business enabled me to do. So I go, why am I passionate about doing what I do? Well, it's so it affords me the time to do the things I love with the people I love. Now, my career, while I was training people, my charge out rate changed quite significantly. So when I kicked off, the going rate was about $30 an hour for a personal training session. And I thought, fantastic. If someone's going to pay me that is absolutely amazing. The first 5 years really didn't change. But then you'll see the graph starts to move up, and I get it up to $50. That $50 goes up to $70 to $90 to $110 a session. And then back in 2002, it makes a jump up to about $220 for a single session. And then in 2006, roughly about 15 years ago, it moves up to $440. And that's $440 for a single one-on-one 45-minute session. Now, if you're sitting there and wondering who on earth pays $400 for a single session, and who would like to have some of those clients? Trust me, today's session is, again, not about how to charge $400. I'm sure if I sat down with each and every one of you, I'd be able to find a way where you could leverage your time, where you could earn more for the time you do. But I just, again, want to keep you open-minded to what's possible out there. Because if you asked me 27 or so years ago, you said to me, Brad, you look like a pretty good trainer, and one day you're probably going to charge $400 a session, I would have laughed at you, thinking that that's completely ridiculous and impossible. What it meant for me is that I was able to actually reduce my hands-on hours. So, this graph shows that in the beginning, I struggled to get clients and slowly built up, but then got myself incredibly busy where I was doing 40 plus hours of sessions. And if you've ever done that before, you'll know that it quickly can lead to burnout. And so understanding these concepts enabled me to win back the time and engineer the lifestyle that I wanted. So I was able to increase my revenue and profits whilst reducing my hands-on hours in this concept. And so I want to run you through the system and the process that helped me, and this lead generation component is just one of them. So steps 1 and 2, and what do we do at Trainer HQ? Look, the main part of what we do is help people build a more successful business. And people say, what do you do? And I say, what we do has got absolutely nothing to do with biceps, dumbbells, burpees. But what it has got to do with is developing a system, developing a structure, and being able to engineer the exact business that you want to do. So the strategic part is critical. Steps 1 and 2 is having a clear plan and plugging the right systems into place, which then leads us to the actions, which is you acquiring more leads, and then which means that you can sign up more people. And then you get to attract better, higher quality, higher paying clients. And ultimately, you've got options. Now, some of you might have already ventured down this path of building a team, hiring people, and so forth. But from our perspective, it's one of the best methodologies on how you can make passive income. A lot of our clients at Trainer HQ build an online business. So we've got many different methodologies. The 3 end outcomes, which all of our clients unanimously tell us, is make more profit. Now, you can make more money, but what I'm more concerned about is how much profit have you made in your business. Next one is have more freedom. We've yet to meet many people come through and get coached by us and say, hey, I do want to build a business, plus I want to work 70 or 80 hours a week. For most people, they want to engineer the lifestyle of their dreams. And then the last part of all of our high performers, what we see is people that are genuinely driven by desire to want to help, want to serve, want to change more people's lives. So if you're looking for personal help, if you know that you need a coach, just type in the chat the word help. And we'll know that we can reach out, and Shayla will share a link for those of you who want to explore what it means to get a coach, completely obligation free. If you just want to dip your toe in the water and find out what we do and how we can potentially help you, that's all you need to do. And there is a link in there where you can get access to finding out more. But today we are going to talk about the lead generation strategy, because it is a large portion of you building a successful fitness business, and it's probably one of the biggest questions we've got asked over the 15 years and the thousands of people that we have coming through Trainer HQ every year. Now, acquiring leads and having an effective marketing strategy is not just about acquiring more leads. And that's the concept behind this whole presentation. Now, when I define a lead, I define it as a name, as an email, and a phone number. And, the goal here is for you to be able to build a more effective database, for you to build, invite more people into your following. Now, social platforms and social channels will definitely play a part and play an impact on that. And regardless of the social channel that you use, be it LinkedIn, be it Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it might be. So let's say that you are on Instagram, and let's say that your target market is hanging out on Instagram and you've got a good following. If that's where your communication exists, and you say, yep, that's kind of like my database there. I post, people share, they like, they comment, do all that sort of stuff. It's potentially risky because, it's unlikely, but let's say Instagram shut down tomorrow, or let's say, which could be more likely, your account could get blocked, your account could get hacked, or any version of that. And your prospect list is sitting there, then that's, like I said, risky. So this strategy is all about, we want to get people to take an action, and we want to get them to join your database so you can take them through a nurturing sequence. And what it's all about, it's about you attracting what we refer to as your ideal client, who is highly qualified. And what we mean by highly qualified is someone who knows what you do, who likes you, who trusts you, and they're clear on the problems you solve. And so this is very different to somebody who's got absolutely no clue about what you do and how you can help them. Because I know for a fact, right here in Australia and in the States, whatever part of the world you are, there are a bucket load of coaches, of trainers, of people out there. And so the goal is going, how do you cut through the clutter, and how do you be very clear on who you want to attract and the problems you solve? So we refer to it as a 4-pillar system. And step one is all about really understanding your ideal client and making sure that you are in the right spot and you are fishing in the right pond. Then what we want to do is we want to take them into step number 2, which is the concept of snapping people out of the trance. And so what we know for a fact is that for many people, they would travel through life in this, what I would call a trance. And it's your job as an effective business owner, an effective marketer, to attempt to snap them out of this trance and get them to take, or get them to have some sort of curiosity as to what it is that you do. So I'm going to get to that shortly. And then we want to deliver amazing value, amazing content, and content is king. So the more that you can stuff great quality information down people's throats, you're going to have a greater chance at success of turning that person into step number 4, which is a conversion. So step number 1 is all about the concept of how to become a specialist. Now, if I think about a general doctor versus a specialist, they're very clearly different. You've got a problem with your shoulder, it's unlikely you're going to go to the general practitioner down the road. What you are going to do is you're going to go to the specialist. And what do we know about a specialist? We know that they are harder to get into. We know that they do charge more for their service. We know that they are an expert in that area. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we position you as the obvious best choice in the minds of your prospective client. So, you might have already done this first step and you might already be clear in your target market, but just to do a bit of rehashing, and just for those of you who might not have gone down this path, if you're looking to explore into a niche, you want to answer these 5 questions and you need to have a yes to each one of them. So what I want you to do is to type into the chat box for each one of these and for the niche. So first of all, I want you to have a think about an ideal type of client that you want to market or target to. And if you've got that type of client, just fill me in, type it into the chat box, and you might go, okay, it's young mums who have a young family or have recently given birth. It might be guys in their 40s and 50s who want to stay fit and maintain some muscle. It might be younger guys who want to build muscle rapidly. It might be older adults who want to avoid injury. Might be people with lower back pain. There's so many niches out there. But step number 1, question number 1, there must be a big enough group of people. So we don't need to be so small that we're going to miss out on a bunch of people. So you need to make sure that is the case. And you need a yes for that one. Is there a big enough group of people? Now, if I say I target women, In my opinion, that's probably a little bit too broad because, we're talking roughly 50% of the population. So we need to get a little bit more granular there to make sure that we are servicing the right people. Next thing, these people must be hungry for your service. They must really want it. Okay. So you don't want to fall into the trap of delivering or thinking about it, choosing a group of people who might need your help, but not necessarily want it. So if you think about someone who's unemployed, who wants to sit on the couch all day and watch Netflix, they might need your help, but there's a strong chance they might not really want it. And so again, you need to have the answer yes for that target group. Next one is ideally you have a track record. So that is you've potentially done this before yourself. You've trained others in this area, or you've got the ability to team up with somebody. So if I use that example of, let's say you're a lower back pain specialist and you go, well, I've only trained a few people that have experienced lower back pain. Well, what you can do is you can get yourself connected to a physical therapist, you can get yourself connected to a chiropractor or whatever that might be, someone who treats lower back pain, and you can team up with that person, which assists you in the process as well. So again, you need a yes for this one. Next one is it needs to be easy to find these people. So you really want to ask yourself the question, who has my clients before I do? And what that means, this really helps you to target your marketing, because if I just say, if I say to you, who do you train? And you say to me, everyone. I said, where are you going to find everyone? And you go, well, they're everywhere. And I say, okay, cool. Well, how are we going to find these people? How are we going to target them in the marketing? What sort of language, what sort of messaging are we going to use? And so what that means for you is you need to be very clear on finding these people. Need a yes for that one as well. And then finally, these people need to be willing and able to pay for your services. And so that part's also critical, because if these people in this target market don't have a budget, and again, I refer back to the long-term unemployed who want to sit on the couch all day, there's a chance that they might not be your ideal client. Although it might be a very noble thing to want to help, want to serve these people, they might not be your ideal client. So again, you need a yes for that one. And you need 5 yeses. So, I'm not in front of the chat box at the moment, but I'm going to assume that you are on the right track with that. Now, in terms of from a marketing perspective and writing a program and putting a program together, a big thing is making sure that you don't sell a coaching session. You don't sell a boot camp. You don't sell a gym membership. What you do is you sell an end result. You sell a benefit. And so a program that has a start, a middle, and an end result. And what you want to do is you want to sell a solution, not a feature. So if I walk into your gym and you give me a guided tour and you walk me around and you say, we've got 5 treadmills and we open the doors at 5 a.m. and we've got these beautiful fluoro lights up here, which is going to make the room very ambient. They're all features of the business. Okay. And so what we need to make sure, and what we see people way too often doing, is selling features. Now, a feature of your fitness business might be I do strength training, I do body shaping, I do fat loss, I do kickboxing. These are all features, okay? And so I'm going to suggest to you that a lot of your prospective clients who are coming through, a lot of your new members might not necessarily want a coach, might not necessarily want a trainer, but instead what they want an end benefit. They want an end result. And so that's what you need to do. You need to constantly think about, how do I sell my solution? And what we say is, stop selling the service, stop selling personal training, stop selling coaching, stop selling outdoor group training, whatever it might be. Okay, so that's rule number one. That part's paramount, because again, what I find is, for your prospective target market, they might be out there in the world, and they might not be really clear on what problems you solve. And so again, I'm going to suggest they're not necessarily wanting a gym membership, they're not necessarily wanting a coach, but what they do want is an end result or an end benefit. So how do we take them into this concept of trying to snap them out of their trance and trying to find a way to get them to act? And you might have heard the terminology USP, being unique selling proposition. And so from a unique selling proposition is typically something that your competitors don't offer or don't do, or something that's unique that assists you to stand out from the pack and be very different from others. So someone said to me many years ago in business, they said, Brad, it's better for you to be different than it is for you just to be better. They said it's better for you to be different than it is for you just to be better. Now, when I look back at the early part of my career in terms of being a coach and being a trainer, I was on a mission to become technically great, deliver the best type of sessions, get the best type of results. And that's critical, right? You need to do that, and you need to be amazing at what you do, because if you're not great at what you do, then all this marketing stuff and lead generation is pointless, right? However, there are a lot of great, excuse me, there are a lot of great coaches. There are a lot of great trainers out there. And so what we need to do from a marketing perspective is, like I said before, we need to snap people out of their trance. And so the concept of a hook is enticing people to take notice of what you do and to pay attention at what you do. So you've got the ability then to welcome them into your community and start a nurturing process with that person. And so what it's all about is delivering a content-based marketing strategy so people are very clear on what problems you solve, and more importantly, how you can help them. So we're going to talk a little bit about the hook and a couple of examples, and I'll give you some very, very basic ones. So, example number one, the headline hook could be 13-year-old golfer outdrives Tiger Woods. Now, I'm personally not into golfing, but if you were, could that be something of interest to you? The answer could potentially be yes. If that's your target market, could that be of interest to them? And then what you have, the solution being the 5-minute video corrects 95% of issues with long drives. Okay, once again, if I'm in that target market, could that entice me to take the first step? And again, think about this structure. Think about this process. If I'm sitting on one of your social channels and I see this, but boom, you've got my attention, you've got my curiosity, you've snapped me out of the trance, and now you've enticed me to take the next step, which is potentially, signing into your lead magnet. And the concept of a lead magnet is you would take the first step. You would exchange your information, your name, your email, potentially the phone number. And then what it means for you as a business owner is that you now own that data. And what I mean by own that data is you have the ability to be able to reach out and to start a nurture process and introduce yourself to that person. So you are no longer a stranger. So back to social platforms, and no matter which one you use, and once again, the platform you use is going to be relevant to the type of ideal client that you have. You got to figure out, all right, what's my ideal client? Where are they hanging out? Where are they spending most of their time? Now, a trap that we see a lot of potential clients fall into is feeling like I've got to be everything to everyone. So I've got to absolutely dominate every single one of these platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, it goes across the board. And they keep popping up, right? So it's like more work, which potentially leads to overwhelm. What we advise a lot of our clients at Trainer HQ is to be very crystal clear on who it is that you're targeting, and therefore what are the major platforms, and maybe focus on one or two of those. And of course, once you've got that humming, and you've got a system behind it, then it might lend itself for you to start to branch out a bit more. But what we say is that, let's say that Instagram was your place, your hangout, is that the idea is to entice these people to take the first step is to join your database. And then that means that if, like I said, you get blocked, you get shut out, it shuts down, any of that sort of stuff, you now have the ability to nurture these people. Example number two, how did the 85-year-old man get into the best shape of his life? And if you're on the cusp of 60, 65, 70, and yet was your prospective client, and that person could be saying, wow, okay, this is interesting. And the offer that you might have might be one of your documents. And once again, this is examples of the content that you can create. And what I find for a lot of people in the fitness industry, fitness professionals, people who are passionate about this, we do have a lot of information, we do have a lot of knowledge. And so it's my suggestion that you want to share that with people. You want to give away your best stuff. If this stuff is resonating with you, then there's I'm gonna make a suggestion that you can sign in to get more detailed analysis of it. So in this presentation today, in many ways, I can only tease you with a lot of the concepts on marketing. We've got a more detailed plan, and I've got a template that I'm going to run through an example shortly. I'll get Shayla to drop in the link to that. It's called the 3-Day Challenge, and it's a more comprehensive marketing process. You can get straight into it. It doesn't have to take you 3 days. You can access step by step by step. And inside there, we've got a number of different marketing templates, which are literally plug and play. So the headline that I get to shortly, you'll be able to see that in action. Now, here's an example. This slide should have popped up in 2 different slides. But anyway, that's all good. There was a book, left-hand side. Let's step out the fitness industry for a minute, and let's have a look from the outside looking in. Back in the 1980s, on the left-hand side, there was a book called Astrological Love. Now, if I was to blank out the right-hand side of your screen, if you to not read that part right now, you look at Astrological Love, and I ask people, what do you think that book's about? And it stumps most people because the title makes it really challenging to figure out. Okay, people say to me, I think it's about star signs. They say, I think it's about love. They're not really clear on it, basically. Now, that book, released in the 1980s, was a bit of a flop. It wasn't really a successful book, and you can sort of see by the title why. Now, what happened was back in the 1990s, a publisher discovered this manuscript, and what they found was that this book actually contained some pretty good content in there. However, what they found was that the title was it didn't really describe what the book was all about. And so what they did was they took the manuscript, and although they made a few changes, largely the manuscript remained the same. But they changed one main thing, and it's obvious from the slide. You can see what that is. They changed the title of the book, and they changed it to pretty much literally what the book is all about and what the book, it tells you to do. How to satisfy a woman every time and have her beg for more. It says the first and only book that tells you exactly how. There you go. Pretty much straight to the point. Doesn't leave you guessing, and what you see that it became a New York Times bestseller. And that's all about the concept of a hook. All about the concept of snapping people out of a trance. Now, when I run this, and I have the privilege, we'd run a lot of live events and so forth, and I ask people in the seminar room, I pop up the left-hand side of the screen first, and I said, who knows what this is about? Who's interested in this book? Not many hands go up. And then, of course, second time, who's interested in it? And of course, it gets people's curiosity, that's for sure. So let's talk about a couple of ways on how you can use a formula, because a lot of people say to us, look, this all sounds good, but I'm not really creative. I'm not really the person who possesses there's this creative streak on how to create these hooks and headlines and so forth. So here's the template. And so I'm not in front of the chat, but Shayla, if you could share that link to enable people to get in there. And all you need to do is to sign into that 3-day challenge. And that will enable you to go through step by step and get your hands on these formulas, which we've pre-templated for you. So it's first one says the X ways to achieve the desirable thing without doing the undesirable thing in a certain time frame. So X ways to achieve what it is that your target client wants without doing something that they don't necessarily want. Now, to see that one in action, here it goes. The 6 ways to get washboard abs without doing a single sit-up. All right, so we've got the 6 ways. And again, what we find from a marketing point of view, and when you are promoting some sort of enticing bit of content, trying to get people to take the first step with you, is that people love steps, they love procedures, okay? And that's across the board. So we've got the 6 ways, and it could be the 7 ways, it could be the 10 ways, whatever it is, to get washboard abs. And we know that that's something that somebody desires. We also know that for a lot of people, they think that, okay, I've got to do a lot of sit-ups or whatever it might be, or a lot of cardio or whatever it might be. And again, I'm not necessarily talking about people who understand exercise science and what's the best way to achieve a washboard ab or abs. What we are talking about is the general population and which could fit into your target market without doing a single sit-up. So people, okay, that's interesting. You got my curiosity. I thought to get these washboard abs, you had to do thousands of these things, whereas you might have a strategy on how it could be done differently. And the beauty of these templates is you can play around with them for your niche, for your target market. All right, next thing is do the difficult thing in a specific period of time, even if you have some sort of shortcomings. Let's look at it in action. Lose unwanted belly flab. So there's the difficult thing. In less than 10 weeks, there's a specific period in time, even if you have a slow metabolism. Now, once again, well, I know from being in the fitness industry, there's a lot of people that stick their hand up and they say, look, whatever I do, I just can't lose weight, or I'm big boned, or it's my metabolism, or whatever it might be. And we all know as exercise, science tells us for the right person with the right strategy, there is an ability for someone to be able to do that. And so once again, if someone's sitting there and they're into that, they're in that category, then that could be the ideal headline, the ideal hook to snap them out of that trance. So what do we do with this once we've got them to take that first step? So I'd really encourage you to we've got more formulas in there as well. I'm just giving you a brief snapshot into it. And once again, if you are like resonating with this commentary, I'd highly recommend that you seek, more of this stuff, because we want to get them into your content funnel. And the goal, I should say, is about you delivering great content. You need to consistently deliver great content that's custom tailored to your end user. And so, we're not going to ask them for something in return at the start, right? So it's not like you're going to ask them to do business with you. You're not going to ask them to sign up to the gym. What the goal here is to go, like I said before, stuff great quality information down people's throats so they see you as the obvious best choice, and they see you as the person who can really help them, and how you can assist them. Let's touch on video marketing, because it is a critical part. Video dominates internet traffic, and right now it's higher than 80% of all internet traffic, and you won't be surprised by this, because you'll scroll your socials, you'll jump on, you'll know that video is critical. So if you are producing content, you need to make sure that you're comfortable at producing video, and that might be exercise tips, it might be suggestions, client success stories, testimonials, all the rest of it. And greater than 85% of Facebook, Instagram videos are watched with no sound on. So if you have a really important piece of marketing that you do want to share with people, and you want to make sure that I've got that, really in front of people and they can take notice of it, then you would get the subtitles in there. Now, there are a couple of ways you do that. YouTube, Facebook, all that, they will auto-populate subtitles, but the subtitles can sometimes be not that great. There is a service called Rev, that's REV for Victor, rev.com, rev.com, and at rev.com you can have your video transcribed for around about around about $1 per minute of video, thereabouts. Maybe it's slightly more, but if you've got a 2-minute video for a couple of dollars, you can get that transcribed, and it's highly accurate. And the beauty is that you can take that transcription and use it wherever you want. So let's recap a few of these things just so that you are clear in the process. Number one, what you need to do is understand how to really identify your ideal clients and the people that you want to serve. Number two is all about stuff and being very clear on benefits and making sure that we use benefits to attract the ideal client. And then what we do is we sell a solution. We do not sell the features. We do not sell a gym membership, a studio membership, a PT session. And more importantly, we sell with a story. Stories sell. Facts tell, stories sell. And so your goal is to make sure we create the right type of headline to attract this person, step 5, step 6 into your business. And then what we refer to as direct response versus relationship marketing. Now, when I speak direct response, it's about getting people to take an action, getting people to come into your funnel, getting people to move potentially from a social platform to slide into your sign-in, and then we can build that connection with the person. Then we can nurture a relationship. So I enter your database. Now I'm receiving your correspondence. I'm receiving your emails. You've invited me into your Facebook community. You've had me on the social channels. I'm getting SMSs. And what's happening is I'm starting to build a connection, starting to build a relationship. So when it is time for you to launch, time for you to make an offer, then you are speaking to the most highly qualified people. what I found in this journey is that doing all this is success didn't come to me. I needed to go and find it. And so for me to break past, the struggles that I had, wanting to quit the industry, I knew that I'd do things slightly differently. So over to you. Look, if you do want to build a thriving fitness business, and if you love, what you do, you want to keep doing it, and you want to impact more people's lives and enjoy the rewards of it. So again, what I see in this industry are many people who are great at what they do. They're so good at helping and assisting people, but unfortunately, the amount of income or revenue that they earn might not stack up to their passion or their enthusiasm. So we've got a saying here at Trainer HQ, and we say you can have it all. And sometimes you hear people say things like you can't have it all. And I disagree with that, because I believe that you have the ability to build a great business and get rewarded for it. Now, if I think back to my first journey in the industry, and when I first started, somebody gave me this book, right? It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by the late, great Stephen Covey. This book is pushing on 30 plus years old. And when I kicked off, they said to me, Brad, you look like a pretty enthusiastic coach, trainer. Here's a book I think you should read. Now, I didn't pay a cent for that book. They gave it to me. Now, with all good intentions, I took that book home. I stuck it on the bookshelf, and I said, I'm going to read that book one day. And over those first 5 years, I reckon I walked past that bookshelf hundreds, maybe thousands of times. And there was many times that I said to myself, I'm going to get to that book one time. Now, think about when I first kicked off, like I said, all the struggles, all the problems, and didn't know what I didn't know on that roller coaster journey. Now, I met my first coach, my first business coach, at that 5-year mark, and that person sat me down. I was unpacking all my struggles, all my frustrations, and based on some of the stuff I said, this coach said to me, "Hey, I got this good resource. Here's a book I think you should read." Interesting. I said, "I've got that book." He said, "Have you read it?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, that's your first homework task. Go and read that book." And I've still got the same book. It's got highlighter through it and pen marks and it's dog ears and all the rest of it. But I look back at that book now. That book doesn't solve all everyone's issues, but what I do know is that book serves as a metaphor for me. And again, it's all the stuff I didn't know, didn't understand, didn't have, and so it sat there on the bookshelf doing nothing. So what it meant for me was, like I said, my first coach really, really paved the way, and it was really about putting me in that very best position to win. And so that's what we say. It's for you in business, you want to be in that spot. So we know what good looks like, and we know how to achieve success, and that's what we do. We coach people on this every day. So regardless of if you're a trainer in a commercial facility, if you own your own facility, your own studio, if you're an online trainer. You have your own gym. We coach a lot of MMA, CrossFit, functional fitness, outdoor boot camps, you name it, allied health practitioners. That's our speciality. And so we know what good looks like. And so we've pieced together our Pathway to Profits program, and I want to share it with you. So in our Pathway to Profits, and this is part of your partner perks of being in the True Coach platform and being as part of the True Coach business, is that we've taken all of our concepts and put it into a coaching program. We refer to it as the 30 for 30. And inside our Pathway to Profits, there's 30 coaching modules in there. And each of them run for about 30 minutes, plus all the tools, the resources, the documents, templates, and so forth. So what we say is invest 30 minutes a day for 30 days to grow your fitness business via the Pathway to Profits program. And inside there, we share the information, the content, we share the resources, the templates, and then there's the action tasks in there, which gives you the support, the help that you need. And so the 5 main pillars of this program are obviously the mental part in terms of removing self-sabotaging roadblocks, which leads you into the mindset of what it takes to create a successful business, which then moves into the key critical parts that you need to track in terms of running a business. And then the meatiest part of the program, there's 9 modules in the area of marketing and lead generation. So if what I've been talking about today resonates with you even in the slightest amount, then that you're going to eat this part up. You're going to absolutely love that. And of course, get the lead. We need to convert them into a paying client. So we go through our sales and conversion strategy. The Pathway to Profits is also available as an app as well. So we've got it as an online portal in our education learning management system. Plus, you've got the ability to download it to your phone, listen to the audios, watch the videos. There's a huge amount in there. Now, all you need to do to get your hands on that is just to take the first step. So as discussed, as part of the partner perks, when we launched Pathway to Profits, the program, we sold it for $997. Now, at $997, that was the value we placed on it, and there's bucket loads of content in there. We launched it in March 2020. Now, you might remember what also happened in March 2020. Well, I know in Australia, we went into lockdown and there was a lot of panic out there. And so immediately we said, what do we do? Because there was a lot of resistance to people, getting started on this course and this program. So what we did was we got it in the hands of more people. So we reduced the price. So that you can go on our website today and purchase that program for $297. But given Trainer HQ's relationship with True Coach as partner perks, you get that program for 50% off. So that takes your $300 down to about $150. So any day of the week, you can jump on there and purchase it for that. However, our platform is in Australian dollars. It's in Aussie dollars. And if you jump on the exchange rate, which I did, you'll see that for you and if we're talking US dollars, it's around about $100 US. So for you, it's a very small investment for you to make for what can be a massive return. So I would highly encourage you to jump on this program to make full use of it. And I'll get Shayla to share that link now that you can go in, and you will need to make sure that you do plug in the code, which is half price, HALFPRICE. You need to plug that in so it will activate that half price. Otherwise, it'll attempt to charge you the 297 Australian dollars. So you plug in the half price and it will reduce that down to half of that price, $148.50, which once that exchange is out is going to be around about $100 US. So incredible. For me, wrapping up, I guess we're going to move into, I've got one eye on the clock and I've pushed a little bit over my 45-minute window, but I guess just to say thank you very much for those of you who have joined and those of you who have been part of it, and those of you who are going to be joining us at Trainer HQ and absorbing more of the content. I'm looking forward to welcoming you to our community.
Awesome. We have one question from Patrick.
Yeah, awesome.
This came through a bit ago. It says, would long-term clients not be considered under a program? Many of my clients enjoy bettering their health for disease prevention, but there isn't an end result per se.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'd say that's probably a very valid point. And I'll look back and I know that we had clients with us who were not necessarily looking to achieve X, Y, Z result, not looking to get a certain amount of strength or weight loss. They just knew that if I'm going to do this exercise thing, I want to have a coach, have an expert who's going to guide me through it. And they weren't necessarily hung up on their results or whatever, more importantly, trusting in the process. The reason why I would suggest having a program, however, is, I guess, as people are coming in new and they are effectively, we're finding ways to show people, hey, this is what we do here.
Awesome. If anyone has any more questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. If not, we can wrap up and just say a big thank you, Brad. I know that was a ton of information. It was really wonderful, especially the deal that you're giving everybody there at the end. The code is in the chat, so make sure to screenshot that or, copy paste it. But I guess if no one else has any questions, we'll wrap it up.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. And, we're really looking forward here at Trainer HQ in our relationship with True Coach and really enhancing that and adding value to your community.
All right, great. Well, thanks everybody. Have a good rest of your day, and go forth and conquer.
Yeah, yay. See you, gang. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.